Welcome to week 5. There are 3 sections that are super important in this week. 6.3, inverse trig. 6.4, solving basic trig. And then 7.5, trigonometric equations. So let's go through this. Section 6.3, the inverse trig functions. Watch video 1, it's an overview. Video 2 is some examples, and video 3 is my video of examples. And so definitely watch video 3. From your trig identity, that should be a T, identity handout, at the very bottom of those trig identities, the first page, there is this image, and this, you do need to memorize the ranges of the inverse trig functions, sine inverse, cosine inverse, and tangent inverse. So for example, there are infinitely many angles whose sine is a half. So if y is sine inverse of a half, you're asking for an angle whose sine is a half. Well, there are many angles that could satisfy that, but there's only one angle between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2 that satisfies that, and that's the angle pi over 6. So sine inverse of a half is pi over 6. So spend some time on that, watch all the examples. Basic trig equations, this is important because 7.5 is going to piggyback on this section. So for example, if you want to solve a basic trig equation like sine theta equals a half and theta is between 0 and 2 pi, then you really need to know your unit circle, because this is just going to be all the angles on the unit circle whose y coordinate is a half, because sine theta is y over r, but on a unit circle, r is 1. And so we're thinking, okay, pi over 6 works, but also over here, 5 pi over 6. So there would be 2 answers to this equation that lie between 0 and 2 pi. You won't have any trouble with 7.1, simplifying trigonometric expressions. So I'm not even going to talk any more about that. Section 7.2, you don't have to memorize any identities from this. Section 7.3 talks about double and half angle. You will need some identities that you will need to memorize some identities from this section in order to do the trigonometric equation problems. So you need to memorize all of these, the double angle formulas for sine and cosine. Although I say you have to memorize the half angles, you don't. You don't have to memorize these until you get to calculus. So don't worry about memorizing the half angle on the next midterm. I will not expect you to have memorized those. And in your homework, you're going to use a different form of the half angles anyway. You're going to use these half angle identities. So don't worry about memorizing them. And then again, this is the really big section. Can you solve trigonometric equations with double angle or just a basic quadratic equation? It's all going to come down to being able to factor and then being able to solve the basic trig equations. Okay, and that's it for this week.